You gotta check out this new controller. Are we finally gonna see Perfect Dark gameplay this year? How much is it gonna cost you to jump back into GTA 5? And Xbox has got to steal this from Sony. Let's discuss. So today, Sony is having a PlayStation State of Play event. Ray, why should I care about PlayStation news? This is an Xbox channel, what are you doing? Well, there are rumblings online and in the gaming community saying that the release date for Hogwarts Legacy is going to be revealed at the State of Play today. And apparently they're also going to announce the release date for God of War Ragnarok, and that's a really smart idea. They just released Horizon Forbidden West, and now they're going to get people all hyped all over again for God of War. And they didn't even need to take away Horizon's hype to do so. You know, I like PlayStation stuff, but I'm a fan of Xbox, hence the whole YouTube channel, the whole Xbox Ready thing. I'm a little jealous, and I'll tell you why. When I see the State of Play happening, when I see Nintendo Direct, I wish that Xbox had an equivalent to that. And the last time I talked about this, when I was talking about how I hoped that they had their own Xbox Direct like Nintendo does, people were in the comments like, dude, chill, we're gonna see gameplay at E3, we're gonna see gameplay at the Game Awards, man. And that's too long, man. That's too long to wait for updates on these games that we're all waiting for as Xbox fans, and it's too infrequent. It's just like this big information dump, and then we have these huge swaths of time in between when we're just waiting and wondering and speculating. We need more frequent and consistent updates on when we can expect these games. Give Xbox fans something to be excited about, because if you don't, people are going to focus on the negatives. So there's really no news regarding these upcoming games. All we've heard is delays. Stalker 2 delayed, Redfall maybe being delayed. It's a little bit slow for Xbox right now. People will focus on the negative, and the negative right now is mostly Halo Infinite, and for good reason, right? The game launched and we were all super excited about it, and then we kind of ran through the content pretty quickly. The roadmap has been delayed, campaign co-op and Forge has been delayed again. And so people are focusing in on 343. They're adding just these new maps for this new update, game modes that should have been in the game when it launched. Right now in the Xbox ecosystem, on Xbox Twitter, it's all negativity that I'm seeing. And on top of that, the multiplayer lead at 343 Industries just left, so I don't know what's gonna happen going forward for Halo Infinite. I don't know how they can rebuild the hype that they once had, because with every future update that they're gonna bring, with everything that they add, people are just gonna be like, well, this should have been included in the base game. I don't know how you get over that. And when you don't have anything really to look forward to in terms of a hard release date, when to expect certain games, things like Crossfire X turned out to be generally a bad game, quote unquote bad game. I'm not dogging on you if you enjoy it, if you like it, but the consensus was that it was a bad game, right? That hits a whole lot harder when you don't really have anything on the horizon to look forward to. So right now, PlayStation players are riding high. Horizon Forbidden West, Sifu just launched, and everyone's talking about how great those games are. And then the announcements today, PlayStation fans are gonna be like, oh my God, I can't wait for God of War Ragnarok, I can't wait for Hogwarts Legacy, I can't wait for all this cool stuff to be happening. They're riding high, and Xbox fans is kind of like, I don't know, I guess we have to wait until E3 to really get excited about anything, but I wish we didn't have to wait that long. This just gives an opportunity for negativity to fester in the Xbox community after they had such a great finish to 2021. Now, whenever I talk about this, people are also in the comments like, yeah, they used to have something like that. Remember, it was called Inside Xbox. Well, when was the last time we had an Inside Xbox? 2021? Mid-2021, maybe? That's too long, guys. Speaking of E3 and Xbox news, according to Jeff Grubb, we could very well be seeing gameplay from the Perfect Dark reboot that the Initiative and Crystal Dynamic has been working on. On the Xbox Era podcast, he says, Perfect Dark may be out in 2023, although he did say that it may easily come out in 2024. He says that, like Avowed, both of these games are gonna have a 5-year development period, which would put it on track for a 2023 release or 2024. Besides the stuff about possibly seeing gameplay from Perfect Dark at E3 2022, he also said Microsoft will definitely spend a lot of time on Starfield, they will probably spend a lot of time on Redfall, and Forza Motorsport 8. Now, we know that the Perfect Dark reboot has been in the making for quite a long time. The last time we heard any news about it was when we learned that the Initiative was working on this title. They were partnering up with Crystal Dynamics as a studio. Now, a lot of people were thinking like, oh no, the initiative, they might be in trouble. Why are they turning to Crystal Dynamics when they could be turning to any number of studios that fall under the Xbox Game Studios umbrella? What's going on? There's trouble in the water. But when you looked a little bit deeper at that, you would realize that a lot of people who worked at the initiative used to work at Crystal Dynamics. They've worked closely together on other projects in the past. So it really wasn't that out of left field as people were making it out to be. I want to say that the head of the initiative right now used to work at Crystal Dynamics, so he already had that close relationship with them. Now, in addition to what Microsoft could be showing with Redfall and Starfield, the things that you can expect to see this year, people are theorizing, Jeff Grubb especially, is theorizing that this Perfect Dark showcase could be like, what can we look forward to from Xbox in 2023? That would fit in perfectly. People are a little bit worried about Perfect Dark right now due to some investigative work on Twitter. They're worried that it's going to be a live service game because Cory Butler, who works at Crystal Dynamics, has been named the lead producer for Perfect Dark. Cory Butler, I'm sure he's a perfectly nice person. Never met the guy. I'm sure he's lovely. But people are pointing to the fact that every game that he's worked on has had some sort of live service element to it. The last one being Marvel's Avengers. And is right, because the live service portion of that game was so incredibly annoying. When it came to Game Pass for Xbox, you would download the game, you open it up, and for the first time, you had to fight through like a million different menus, a million different like, oh, you can buy these outfits, oh, you can go to this store and buy this campaign, oh, it was so annoying. And I feel like a lot of people feel the same way about that game. Like, okay, this is a pretty good game that was ruined by trying to make it something that it's not, trying to make it a live service game, trying to make it to where it relies on its sales through its cosmetics and its store way too much. And of course, we're kind of dealing with that right now as Xbox fans because Halo Infinite is a live service game that has made a lot of people mad with its shop, with its microtransactions. I know a lot of people are worried that this is just an attempt, they're like, okay, we're not gonna get Perfect Dark out on time. Let's just release it as a live service game and then we'll trickle in content as the months go on. I know when you're thinking about Perfect Dark, you probably just want a story-driven, linear experience. You don't want online elements. You don't want too much of that. So I understand why people are worried. But again, we don't know too much about this reboot. We don't know too much about Perfect Dark. We haven't even seen gameplay footage of it. Apparently, there's been a playable prototype for a very long time, so people are optimistic, but there's just too little information to jump to those sorts of conclusions right now. I don't think we should be judging this game too harshly just yet. There's just not enough information about it. E3 is just around the corner. I'm very excited to see potentially gameplay for Perfect Dark amongst other games. And Crystal Dynamics, we know that Square Enix kind of put them on Marvel's Avengers, sort of knowing that a game like that wasn't exactly their strength. When you look at some of their other past games, like Tomb Raider, it doesn't really add up to like, oh, let's put them on Marvel's Avengers and make it a live service game. So hopefully they took their experience working on Marvel's Avengers, what worked, what didn't work, and can apply all of that knowledge that they gleaned and add it to this Perfect Dark reboot. The next-gen versions of GTA 5 are coming out on March 15th. And this is going to include a number of graphical updates, as well as separating the campaign experience from the online experience if you're playing on consoles. Previously, we had no pricing information for either of these games, whether it be the campaign or just the online or both of those things together. We didn't really know what to expect pricing-wise. I think we have been kind of spoiled as Xbox fans. We've gotten a lot of free upgrades. For example, if you had Cyberpunk, if you bought it a couple of years ago, or has it been a couple of years already? Well, if you had the original version of Cyberpunk, you got a free upgrade to the next-gen version that they just released. Unfortunately, you're not going to get a free upgrade to the next-gen version if you already have an older version of GTA 5, but it is going to be sold at a discount at least for the first 3 months after it launches on March 15th. So like I said, on console, GTA Online is going to be separate from the single player experience. If you want to buy them both together, it's going to be $20. If you just want to buy GTA Online, that's $10. So $20, $10. That's how it's going to be priced for 3 months, and after 3 months, it's going to go up double in price to $40 and $20 respectively. Now, PlayStation unfortunately has a little bit of an edge in this situation. They get to play GTA Online for free for 3 months after it launches on March 15th, and they're getting a 75% discount versus a 50% discount for us Xbox folks. And while it is a little bit of a bummer, like I said, we've been spoiled with these free upgrades that you're not gonna get it for GTA 5, I do think it's a reasonable price. Honestly, I was expecting a full priced game, $60, $70, and I still think that it would have sold really, really well. I guess it's not totally surprising considering that Rockstar, they're all about the money, right? They make a ton of money off of this, and they knew that people would buy this game no matter what. But $20, $10, I think that's pretty reasonable. I think it's a great opportunity if you've never tried GTA 5 to jump in, and I think it's a great excuse to jump back in if you've taken a break from it for a while. So 8BitDo has announced its first controller with an Xbox specific layout. They have had an Xbox version of their controllers in the past, but it's a little bit different. More notably, the analog sticks, they're not the same as you would find on a regular Xbox controller. They're more like a PlayStation controller where the sticks are in the same plane, they're right next to each other, whereas on an Xbox controller, as we all know, they're a little bit asymmetrical. This is being marketed as the ultimate wired Xbox controller. Now, this is an interesting controller to me. I mean, I know that having a wired controller is not ideal for a lot of people. For example, if you're gaming in your living room, not as good having a wired controller as it would be if you're gaming at a desk on a monitor. But there are a couple of advantages of having a wired controller. Mostly, it cuts down on the latency. And on this one, the 8BitDo version, it kind of brings it in line almost with like a DualSense controller. So you have all of the standard buttons that you would expect on an Xbox controller. It's mostly in the same layout, but you also have paddle buttons like you would find on the back of a Pro controller, and it has trigger vibration, which is very interesting. And this is also really helpful if you game on a PC, if you prefer a gamepad versus a mouse and keyboard, because the Xbox controller layout is usually supported on Steam games, on Windows games. There are some games that support a PlayStation controller layout, but mostly it's the Xbox controller. Now, this controller isn't officially out yet, but they are taking pre-orders through Amazon, and I think a lot of people are going to be pleased with the price. These controllers can get pretty expensive. Even the standard one is like 60 bucks, right? This is coming in at $45. This is probably one of the most reasonable accessories that I've talked about on this channel. Usually I talk about accessory and people are like, boo, that's too expensive. I can get this other thing from wish.com that does the same job and it's like 2 cents. This, I feel like a lot of people are gonna be happy with the price. I really think that this is probably the closest we're gonna get to a DualSense on the Xbox, which is unfortunate, but for $45, hey, I can't complain. Also, it puts it more in line with a Pro controller, and we know how expensive those can get, $170, $200, $200 plus dollars. So this is a really great option if you want to upgrade your controller, but you kind of want to save some money. And we all have to save money, right? Like, we're all about Game Pass. I'm digging it. Hopefully we don't experience that annoying shortage where you go to try to pre-order it and it's all sold out. Scalpers have already got this. I'm not surprised anymore. You know, the Xbox fridge was completely sold out for a month. So looks like a really cool controller, reasonably priced. It's not gonna be shipping out until the 31st, but I'm definitely gonna try to get my hands on one so I can talk to all of you about it. Anyway, guys, that's all the news I have for today. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Ray. I would very much appreciate it if you went on over to Twitter and followed me at StayXboxReady. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.